Hi, writers. I was really busy reading all of your story arcs and in the additions that you added to your stories, and I'm really impressed and think that many of you are working really hard to really tell the story that you think is important and bring out that story through all of these revision lessons that we've been working on. So today I'm going to show you another lesson on elaborating. So I have here elaborating. It means to expand something in detail, right? So when you expand something in detail, you give more information. So as a writer, when you're expanding something in detail, you're giving them more information about maybe how you thought about something or how you felt or a relationship or the conflict in your story. You're giving your readers more information. So remember back when I was telling you about the phone call that Julia had about seeing the shark? Well, I just wrote up a little example. So if I were writing that story, or if Julia were writing that story, she might just say, I saw a shark in the ocean. Okay, right? It's not really, we don't know how she feels about it. We don't know what she's thinking about it. We don't know anything when we just see, I saw a shark in the ocean. So I worked on elaborating, trying to bring out like the awe of it all. Like oh my God, look at the shark. Like I've never seen one in real life. I've only seen it on like Shark Week on the Animal Channel, right? I've only seen it in aquariums. So check out my elaborated part of I saw a shark in the ocean. Yesterday, as I got out of the water, I noticed a brown fin-like thing. I thought, is that a shark? Suddenly, I saw the smooth brown body and large tail. Just as I was about to yell, I heard someone on the beach yell, "Shark!" So you can tell that, yeah, I'm a little scared, but I'm also sort of like in awe of this experience that I'm having, this moment, like seeing the shark. So when we're writing our stories, we want readers to know parts that are important. So if we write a sentence like, I saw a shark in the ocean, the reader might not think that that's so important. But when we start elaborating, stretching out the part and giving details, the reader then knows that this part is an important part. Like, yes, they may have been scared, but also they're sort of in awe of the shark. So today, guys, we're going to make readers slow down and pay attention to important parts in our stories by elaborating and stretching out those important parts, just like I did here with this little shark story. So let's take a look at part of my story. This was the part when I'm in the waiting room of the hospital. Okay, so I'm thinking about this part. Well, let me read it to you and then I'll tell you what I'm thinking. We sat in the waiting room of the hospital, trying to make light of the situation. Julia was still scared. I wondered if this incident would make her not like the ocean anymore. We'd been swimming in the ocean water since she was little. I used to carry her out past the break, but many times we would tumble from a wave hitting us. "Julia," a nurse called, waking me from my daydream. We got up and headed into the examination room. So you're kind of getting a little sense about how the ocean and swimming and having this time together, is important, especially because, as a teacher, you're not always home during the school year, so this was like our special time in the summers. But I don't know if I really get a sense of that. So I'm going to go into this part here. And I want to bring out the real meaning of this by showing how important it is, this experience that Julia and I have together. And here's some ways that you can bring out the real meaning. You can add some small actions. Small actions are like, brush the sweat from my face, or brush the sweat away from my brow, or tapped her on the shoulder, or, you know, anything that's small. It's not big, like I jumped out of bed or I ran down the street. Those are big actions. Small actions are like the little things that we do that might go unnoticed unless the writer puts it into the story. Another thing that you can do to bring out real meaning in your story is to add dialogue. That dialogue should be meaningful, not just like, hey, I said, hey, they said back, but have meaningful dialogue that really shows what it is, that the big idea that you're trying to get across. You can give some visual details, right? Like I did that with the shark. I added some visual details, like what the shark looked like and how it was shiny and smooth. Or you can tell your internal story, the things that you're thinking in your brain. That's the great thing about writing, is it's like we almost get an insight into the writer's brain. Like all this stuff is happening, but meanwhile, the writer's thinking about something. So I'm going to try to add into my story something to bring out the real meaning here. So I wondered if this incident would make her not like the ocean anymore. We'd been swimming the ocean water since she was little. I used to carry her out past the break, but many times we would tumble from a wave hitting us. I'm going to, what am I going to do here? Show small actions. Maybe right here, I'm going to add into this part, I'm going to add some small actions here. And I'm going to show you one way that if you have a Google document, you can just go to the text color and you can change the color of the text. And when you do that, I will know, your teachers will know that this is the part that you worked on in your revision. So I'm going to add some small actions. I looked down at her face and brushed away a tear. Sigh. Sigh. Gee, sigh. She exhaled and closed her eyes. Right? So this, I just added some small actions right there. I looked down at her face and brushed away a tear. She exhaled and closed her eyes, just so that the reader knows that her being scared and me being there to comfort her is important. And then I'm going to go to this part. I wondered if the incident would make her not like the ocean anymore. We had been swimming in the ocean water since she was little. I used to carry her out past the break. Many times we would tumble from a wave hitting us. I'm going to add some internal thoughts here. Because I always thought, like, should I be bringing her out here? Like, you know, yeah, she knows how to swim, but like, what if we get hit by a big wave? So I'm going to add that here. Let me go back to my pink color here. I always wondered I always wondered if I was being safe. Thinking, what if a really big wave knocked us out? Would I be able to hold onto her? Okay, so let's take a look here. So I went back in to my draft and I looked for some places where I wanted to sort of bring out the real meaning. And remember what I said, the real meaning of my story is not Julia's sea urchin attack on her knee, but it's about being a mom and taking care of your daughter and, you know, holding on to those like precious moments and letting, you know, your kid know that you're there for them. So let's see if I'm bringing out, if you're feeling that as I read what I added into my story. So I'm going to go back because, you know, we should always reread. Every time we add in something, we should always reread. We sat in the waiting room of the hospital, trying to make light of the situation. Julia was still scared. I looked down at her face and brushed away a tear. She exhaled and closed her eyes. I wondered if this incident would make her not like the ocean anymore. We'd been swimming in the ocean water since she was little. I used to carry her out past the break, but many times we would tumble from a wave hitting us. I always wondered if I was being safe, thinking, what if a really big wave knocked us out? Would I be able to hold on to her? Julia, a nurse called, wakened me from my daydream. We got up and headed into the examination room. So I hope you see by just adding those two little bits there, I've really sort of stretched out the importance of this little moment while we're waiting for the nurse to call us into the examination room to show my big meaning about like the thinking about being a mom and making sure your kid is safe and all of that. So today, guys, I want you to go into your draft. Oh, I know, Miss Dale, we've been in our draft all week. Okay, that's fine. But trust me, when you finish with these stories, you're going to be amazed at how much you've done. So I want you to find at least 2 places where you can revise your story. If you wrote your story on loose leaf, you can just get a new sheet of loose leaf and write my revisions at the top or whatever, and go back and forth between your draft and write your revisions onto the loose leaf. If you typed your draft into Google Documents, you can do just like I did and change the color of the revisions that you made. So I want you to find 2 places where you can really stretch out those ideas. And remember, these are some ways. I'm going to add this to the last page for you guys. These are some ways that you could really stretch out and show the real meaning behind your story. So maybe the real meaning, remembering back when you decided that the reason why you want to write this story, what was the real meaning behind your story. So these are some good tips to help you revise today. Okay, writers, I look forward to seeing your revisions, and I hope that you all have a great night, and I'll see you all tomorrow. Bye-bye.